Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ascension Diaries YouTube channel. This is our fourth episode of the podcast, and I'm really excited because I have a wonderful guest on today. Her name is Debbie Solaris, and please, Debbie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and let everyone know what your specialty is and what you've been working on lately.
Hi, Alexis. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to be on here with everybody, and just wanted to say hello out there to everybody that's watching this right now or be watching it a little bit later. I'm Debbie Solaris. I'm an ET contactee. I'm an Akashic Records guide, a galactic historian, and starseed intuitive. At least that's the titles that I guess it has been that I've taken on for myself. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And you and I, we had a session together for my own Akashic Records and history about a year ago. And I wanted to put this in the diary too, because it was very impactful on my life to have such a wonderful reading from you and to see how in depth and into such like the entire history basically of my soul was displayed out in front of me and talked about. And it was just like, it was so empowering really to know that there was so much information. So I was curious about if you'd be willing, because I have levels of certain people and I'm trying to engage and bring these concepts back into sort of into the lexicon kind of. And I was wondering if you'd want to start in explaining what the Akashic Records are and then the other titles that you mentioned, because I think all of those would be really great topics.
The Akashic Records are the kind of the universal energetic records that are out they're on the highest dimensional realms. So they're not even like some people think of the Akashic Records as a library. I like to think of it more as a supercomputer that just has all this information of everything that's ever happened with any sentient being. It doesn't even necessarily have to be human or humanoid, but any sentient being that has experienced anything in the universe, and this is past, present, future. So a lot of people don't know that with Akashic Records readings, we can actually access future probabilities as well. And it's kind of just laid out like, to me, it kind of looks like a crystal, like you obtain somebody's crystal, and then there's other embedded information within this crystal that you kind of unpack as you get deeper into that person's story. But it is pretty neat because each time a lot of people think that the Akashic Records is just about the past. No, it has, I think, it's very impactful towards the present and also the future, because in the higher dimensional realms, there is no linear time. So
right,
a lot of things that we think are kind of linear, at least in our timeline here in third dimensional reality, is actually not very linear at all. I mean, it could be happening simultaneously. I mean, you could be having a lifetime in Egypt in this current timeline, or maybe alongside this current timeline with your current life here in this reality right now, or even a future life. I have a few clients, not many, but a few who actually have originated from the future, but for whatever reason they've decided to come into the past to maybe work on undoing some karmic issues or karmic baggage, or either that or they're curious, or they're here for a mission of some sort. So there's a variety of different reasons, but anyway, the Akashic Records overall is just the universal energetic records. It's non-judgment. There's no judgment to it. It's just this is the information. Okay, and it's up to, I think, someone like me that accesses the records maybe to interpret what's going on. Okay, so I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think that works really good because I like how you mentioned how we can exist outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
and that we all kind of have this cloud that we upload information and download information from that's outside of time and exists for everyone, and it's the records of all things, basically.
But pretty much, yeah. It's the Bible used to call it the book of life, and it's interesting because I grew up, I think going through quite a bit of biblical studies because I went to a Catholic school and then I went to a Christian university, and so Bible study was a big part of my life. And I remember
Nice.
the Bible talking about the book of life, and I was just like, wow, that sounds so inaccessible. It just sounds like only God has access to the book of life. But actually, all of us have access to the book of life is just another terminology for the records. So all of us have access to it. That's what I do. So I go into it a lot. So it's seamless for me, but any one of us can go into the records, so it's just, I think it's a little difficult maybe for somebody that hasn't done it before to maybe go through the process, but then once they get the process down, it's very seamless.
Well, that's definitely something I wanted to touch on and
Mm-hmm.
access in your own history, because to have such an ability like you do and access like you've been practicing, I was curious
Mm-hmm.
when that sort of, what was it that sparked you to look into this, and how is it that everyone can access this, not just professionals like yourself?
Um, that's a really good question. I didn't always, at least I wasn't online with these abilities, for quite a long time. I actually didn't start accessing the records or even knew what they were until after I had an extraordinary out of body experience in 2012.
Wow.
I was actually brought on board an extraterrestrial starship. It happened, I think, during dream time, but it wasn't a dream. It was actually an out of body experience where I somehow my consciousness went from my bedroom and I was in my bed, and then all of a sudden when I came back to consciousness, I was in some other reality, and it was in the interior of a huge extraterrestrial starship. So when I was on that ship, I actually interacted with extraterrestrial beings.
Wow.
They told me who they were. They told me they were Arcturians from Arcturus, and they even showed me in a hologram, where their star is, where they're located on a sort of a star map. And they told me that I had a connection with them, and that really kind of blew my mind because before all this happened, I was very unawakened. I was asleep. I didn't even know. I had a mild interest in paranormal and the paranormal phenomenon, the UFO disclosure movement, but it was very, very on the surface level. I was actually pretty skeptical and I didn't really believe. But then when I was brought on board the ship, it was just like, wow, what's all this, And the thing that I think struck me the most was just how real everything looks when you're in the higher dimension. It's like me talking with you right now compared to that seems like a dream because
Wow.
when you're in the higher dimensions, it's like things are really crystal clear. I mean, the details are sharper, the colors are brighter. You can see energy emanating from objects or from people or things, and
Wow.
it's phenomenal. I remember seeing colors that I never even seen before. That was just like, wow, what's this? And everybody in the higher dimensional realm speaks in telepathy. So there is no language barriers when you're there. It's
Okay.
just if you're able to if you're ever able to think, you can speak telepathically. So it's a very seamless method of communication. I actually like it a lot better. I wish we could all go to that here, but I understand why we're not quite there yet, and maybe we can bring that up a little bit later. But it's amazing. So somehow after I had this experience, I realized, like, wow, I can see people's auras, and I can read energy, and I can read people's thoughts, and I can travel through dimensions, and I mean, all these things that I wasn't able to do before, or even didn't even know about, I was all of a sudden just sporadically doing. And it took some adjustment, because I at first I thought I was going crazy. Like, what's going on? What am I doing? And then as I got more information, I started taking local classes on spirituality, and I started, training with, some spiritual practitioners. I started having a better understanding of what was happening to me. But one of the most key things that started happening was I was looking at people, and I knew what star system they were from. And it was just like, what? How do I know this? And I could tell by their auric field. It's just like, the energy that emanates from, because pretty much our soul is located out here in our auric field. As people think our soul's in here, it's actually out here. But I was looking at people, I was like, oh yeah, that person is definitely had multiple lives in the Pleiades, or oh yeah, that person originated from Arcturus, or that person is Assyrian. And I didn't know how I knew this. I mean, I never learned this. I mean, I didn't even really know about the star races before. Now all of a sudden I know all this information about all these different star races, who they are, what they represent, what they do, what their history was. The other thing that was happening, I was having constant downloads of information, mostly about galactic history and galactic wars, and information about different star systems in our galaxy, different star systems in other galaxies. And I was just overwhelmed. I was just like, I don't know how I know all this. So eventually I discovered, through, I think, taking some of these spiritual classes, that I was actually accessing what was called the Akashic records. And at first I didn't know what in the heck that was. So I told myself, I got to learn more about this Akashic records. So it just so happened a local practitioner here in Colorado was offering a 3-part training series on how to read the records. So I was like,
Wow.
sign me up, So I was very lucky. It was like the timing was right. It was just like, there was this, there was opportunity to take this and kind of hone in on my gifts, because I already had the gift of accessing the records, but I didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
But then, just taking the course helped me, I think, to get the vocabulary, and also to get the process. So I'm doing it correctly and not just kind of willy-nilly going into the records, so that, I'm doing it in a way that's more respectful, for the information that I'm receiving.
Right. And with accessing the records and what you've learned, I've had, well, at least from our reading, and I've understood, is that it's kind of a putting your intention into words about who you're wanting to access for, and making it more specific to sort of hone in on the information. And
yeah, exactly. And also it's very important to clear the space and to protect the space. So that's why we always call Archangel Michael in to protect the space, because we just want the highest vibrational information to come through. We don't want any interference, because it's very easy to get interference from lower dimensional discordant energies that may want to distort the information. So yeah, you make a very good point about that it is it's all about setting intention. That's key, because you want to get that particular person's records, not somebody that's connected to them. Okay, so, or somebody that has maybe a similar name, or that's why we always ask for the full name and the birth date of that particular person. So, or, even to get information about yourself, you might want to check the records for that, but you want to make sure you're getting a very clear channel.
And I've seen on the internet that there are blogs and things like that where people have written out what these elicitations are, and I was wondering how you feel about that.
I think it's good to have the information out there. Because a lot of people don't even know where to begin. You know, how do I access my records? How do I locate it? You know, so I think the information is good. I think the more information that's out there, the better. Linda Howe wrote a really good book called How to Access the Akashic Records. I mean, it's a very simple title, to remember, but it's kind of like the go-to book, kind of like the primer, you know, for anybody that's just learning to access the records. And she makes it very simple. She does it in a very step-by-step fashion, which is what I like that, because I'm a very process-oriented kind of person myself. So I like knowing that, oh, I need to do this first, then this, and it gives me, you know, something to follow. And I think it's very helpful for beginners. So I would recommend, you know, anybody that is curious about their records or wants to see if they're able to access the Akashic records, to maybe, you know, pick that book up from Amazon or, you know, someplace else. But and I think Linda Howe also, she's kind of like the Dolores Cannon of Akashic records reading. You know, she's
Nice.
you know, so she also, I think, offers Akashic Records reading training through her website. I didn't go through her training because I had it available here locally, and I prefer more the one-on-one classroom type scenario myself. I'd rather do that than do an online course. But, you know, for people that like doing online courses, you know, she does have that available. And there's other really good ones too. So the, you know, the information is out there. I just wanted to add though that if people want to see what having an Akashic Records reading with me is like, I do offer, I have a YouTube channel where my video producer and I have taken actual recordings of actual readings that I've done for people and have converted them to video. So, and the reason why I decided to do this was because I think a lot of people don't see yet what the Akashic Records reading can do to transform their lives.
Yes.
And so, so I thought it would be good just to kind of showcase some of these readings that I've done for various, you know, individuals. And these are all real people. They're people like you and me, you know, that I've done readings for. And just the information that comes through is amazing.
Yeah.
Half the time, I don't even know what's going to come through. I just, you know, when I start a reading, I never know, because a lot of times I'm doing readings for people I don't even know. And I don't even know what's going to come through. I just kind of just connect in, and then I just get downloads of information. And with me, it comes in through pictures or through like a movie, or maybe I'll hear things from the person's guides, you know, so it'll be like a combination of audio and visual for me. But, and then I'm here trying to interpret everything I'm seeing, but the videos on my YouTube channel actually kind of illustrate that, you know. So my video producer did a really nice job of utilizing the right graphics and the right, you know,
Oh, wow.
video, yeah, to kind of illustrate kind of what me and this person are seeing throughout their soul memories. You know, it's really pretty cool.
That
So I
is cool.
encourage people to check it out. You'll find my YouTube channel under Debbie Solaris. Just do a search on YouTube and you'll find me right away. And I have 6 videos we just started this, so I have 6 videos right now, and we're about to, I think, launch a 7th one here shortly. We're trying to do one, I think, once every other weekend, or, you know, something like that. But the stories are very relatable, and, you know, we launched one just recently on the twin flame relationship. You know, a client that was struggling with that. Yeah, so that one seemed to have gotten a lot of response from people. People really relate to that particular story. It's called the Lyra Vega Twin Flame Reunion. So it's really, really a cool story. Very sad though, but
Oh,
Likewise, yeah, it's sad, but in the long run, my client actually has a happy ending. So she did have a happy ending, but just that the relationship didn't work out the way she hoped. But it's a good story though. And then there was another one we did on a young man. I think he was in his late 30s. He lost his 2-year-old daughter. She passed away from a drug overdose. I mean, it was tragic. I mean, just really tragic story.
wow.
And we processed through his emotions and through his memories, and we even connected with his daughter during the reading. And so there's some mediumship in there as well that sometimes occurs. But it's these are good stories, and I think we're starting to get a little bit of a following. So I encourage people, if they want to see what an Akashic Records reading is like, what it's like to go through one with me anyway. And
Yeah.
I think I have my own style. I think my Akashic record reading style is probably different than most people, but because I have more of a galactic perspective. But yeah, they should check it out and check out my website too. So that website is actually real simple. It's debbiesolaris.com, and there's more information. There's podcasts and media clips and other things that people can access.
Yeah, I'm really glad with all of your gifts that you received and you have activated in you, that you've done so much and created so much. So we have access to it in this dimension, I guess. So another thing I wanted to ask you was, like you were mentioning, your style is a little different perhaps than other people who read the Akashic records, because you have a more galactic view of things, and you've downloaded all these things about star systems and histories of planets.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that people almost have no access to. And I didn't know about it until we had our reading, and I had been, quite involved in researching the races and things like that. And it was just starting to trickle through. And then our session together, it was just like, holy crap. Like, I didn't realize, and there was giving me so much content to like look into, so I was curious how all of these these star races and star systems, how is it that you have that sort of access? Is it because when you were taken by this race that you perhaps were able to access those higher dimensions, and that's where it hangs out, and people who are never got that experience, they can't reach up that far? I'm curious what you think about that.
Again, a very good question. I think a lot of it had to do with the particular type of activation I had when I was on board the starship. And because when I was up there, the Arcturians kept telling me, these were, Arcturians from Arcturus, they kept telling me that I was part of their family, and it just blew my mind. I was just like, what? And these were magnificent beings. I mean, they were just, these ethereal, these massive, beautiful beings with these massive auras. And I was just thinking, how can I be related to that? I mean, these are magnificent, beautiful beings, and I'm just a lowly human, but then they kind of explained my connection with them. Obviously my soul originated from Arcturus. I have been incarnated in other systems as well, but my soul originated from there. And what they told me was that I have an ancestral connection with the Akashic records, because they told me I came from a long line of Arcturians, historians, scientists, and ambassadors. Okay, so because I have evidently worked with the records before in past lives, especially working the Arcturian Stargate and processing souls through that sort of thing, I have I guess a natural connection with it, with the records. So somehow me going on board that ship, and I went on the board the ship not just once but twice in 2012, activated something in me where I have a natural access to the records. But like I said before, anybody can access the records. So, it's not just me. It's not like I have maybe I have the special password that gets me in a little faster. I don't know, but anybody can access the records, so anybody can do it. So it's just a matter, I think, maybe for other people, they may have to practice it more, but yeah, it's interesting. I remember when we did our reading together, I remember the first thing I saw about you is, oh yeah, you're a communicator. You're going to be out there, disseminating information. And look at you now. I mean, you're just like, oh no, no way. And then look at you now. You're just out there. You're larger than life. You're out there on the internet. Everybody knows who Alexis Buck is. So I love that about the records, that it has an ability, I think, to kind of, because I think in our third dimensional reality, we go through this veil of forgetfulness and we forget who we are. And
Yeah.
yeah, so then, and then, the way our societal construct is, it provides us no support in, exploring our, natural abilities. So what I love about the records is it not only shows that person maybe their star lineage or their past lives, but it also, I think, gives them just kind of a mirror view of who they truly are as a soul and what the gifts they have come in here to do. So then people start remembering, and they're just like, oh yeah, I am a healer. Yeah. Or yeah, I am a communicator. Or, yeah, oh yeah, I am an organizer. I am a manager. That's what I did in past lives. So then they start stepping into that, and they start becoming more empowered. Okay, and I think that's the thing I love the best about the records is not only do I see these beautiful souls and how beautiful these souls are, but it just empowers them to do what they have originally decided they were going to come here to do on this planet.
Which, I mean, I feel like is such a huge sort of stumbling block that, at least, and the people I've been working with too, and we all as healers and leaders and wayshowers kind of go our own way, but I really like how you're like, you know what, I'm just going to tap into your whole soul and let you know what you're good at. Which is great. And it's really validating. You're like, oh, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing and have done all of my incarnations, or at least most of them, then it makes sense to try and give that a shot again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it takes a little bit of the fear away too, because a lot of times I do readings and I'll tell somebody like, oh, you should be doing video, YouTube videos. And they're just like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing any YouTube videos. And I said, but you've done it before in the past. I mean, maybe not YouTube, but you've done, you've communicated, your ideas in the past. And then they're just like thinking, it kind of activates something within them, like, oh, okay, maybe I should be doing that. Okay, maybe. So it just gives them, I think, that validation and that boost that, oh yeah, maybe I do have a gift, because the records say so. So, and I don't know what it is about us humans. We don't ever trust like our own instincts about things. It's like almost like we're looking for that outside validation, and which is fine. I mean, that's where we're at right now in our soul's journey. But I think even sometimes, even us more experienced practitioners, we still like to get that outside validation. Like, oh yes, you are supposed to do this. Yes, you can do it. So it is extremely empowering and insightful for that person. So absolutely, yeah. I love the records for that. It's there's other modalities too that do something similar, like QHHT. A lot of people are really focused on that right now, and it is an awesome, modality. But I think, the difference between a QHHT session and an Akashic session is that the QHHT, you're just mainly looking at maybe 1 or 2 or 3 lives at the most. And
Yeah.
so it kind of gives you a snapshot view sometimes of maybe that person's past, whereas the records kind of give you like an overall view. So the Akashic records reading will kind of take you along your soul's story, so from the beginning to now. or maybe even past now, maybe in the future. So it kind of just takes those puzzle pieces that you always wondered and kind of puts them all together. So, but I think there's validity in both modalities. It's just depending on what you're looking for. I think if you're trying to deal with maybe a past life trauma, or you have some maybe ongoing patterns that keep reappearing over and over and over again, a QHHT session is really good for that.
Yeah.
However, or a past life regression. But if you're wanting to have that overall 360-degree view of who you truly are and what you came here to do, then an Akashic Records reading is much better for that.
I would have to agree because
Yeah.
it definitely was, especially for someone who was interested in the stars and the aliens and the whole ET phenomena. It was so wonderful to feel included in that. And it was one of the first times where I was like, wow, this resonates with me. And I don't know, I don't even understand why, but I like it. And it really opens up a lot of doors. And it's funny too, because I had forgotten, or I've maybe never known your connection to the Arcturians. And the fact that you mentioned them was so interesting, because over the last 24 hours, I've been getting the Arcturians, like, things are popping up in my face. And even this morning before we did this, I looked at an article that was channeled from the Arcturians too. And I was like, what's up? Like, the Arcturians are here, like, hello. And maybe this is perhaps why.
And it's probably because they knew you and I were going to be talking. So they're just like, hey, we're here, we're here to help facilitate this, so that happens a lot with people. They start getting connection with the Arcturians, a lot of times either before they're interacting with me or afterwards. But I also feel, close connection, with the Pleiadians. I feel very close connection with, other star races, the Mintonkins, and a lot of races that people don't even know about that have had, huge impact on Earth's history, and that was I think the other reason why I decided to showcase, some of my readings on YouTube, because I wanted people to have access to maybe information about different star races that they wouldn't get anywhere else, that, it sometimes comes through during readings. So, because sometimes I'll do a reading for somebody and they're from some star system I don't even know about. And I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know anything about Procyon, So I'm having to pretty much get almost all my information from the Akashic Records. And that's amazing, even to have access to that information. It's just like, wow, I never knew about this particular star system. And all of a sudden, it's just like I'm getting downloads of this information. And so sometimes I'm learning along with my client. I'm just like, wow, okay, I guess this is what happened there. Or this is, how these people are like, or this is what their specialty is. And so it's really cool. So I discover new star races all the time. It's really, I get some, I get, quite a few of the Pleiadian star seeds and the Sirian star seeds and the Orions. But then I also get some people that are from outlier galaxies or outlier, even some from other universes. And then I'm having to go into the records to see what's going on with, what is it like where that person came from? Because I have no idea, I don't know what it's like in that other galaxy or that other universe or that other nebula that's out there. So it is pretty cool. It's a great place to get information. Yeah.
Probably the place.
The place, yeah, exactly. Yes. I mean, can't ask for a better library than the Akashic Records.
Well, man, I'm really glad that we got to talk today, because it just reminds me how expansive this whole thing is. And I wanted to say, like, for our last question for those star seeds, because you're saying, of course, the star seeds and we've been talking about all these other races. I was curious if there was a particular race or civilization that has been coming up more recently, and if there's been any sort of new developments that you've noticed in the patterning of your sessions.
That's a good question. I'm seeing some patterns as far as people being connected, just maybe not being from certain star systems, but being connected with certain star systems. For instance, Polaris keeps coming up. Polaris is the North Star, this our current North Star. Um, and I think the reason why that's coming up a lot is because Polaris is our current, represents our current Earth template. Earth used to be aligned. Actually, our North Star used to be Thuban, okay, which is crazy because if you knew where Thuban is, it's like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So Thuban's actually one of the major stars in Draco. Okay, so that kind of tells you kind of the template that Earth was kind of directed towards, for thousands of years in our past. So this was like from the very beginning of Earth's inception into maybe, into the Atlantean times, into Lemuria, into the very early civilizations on Earth. And then I think Earth shifted to Polaris around maybe the time of Christ. Okay, so it seemed like around the time Christ was born, that started a whole new phase of Earth's history. We started going into the age of Pisces. Okay, but now we're moving out of the age of Pisces and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. Okay, so even though we're still aligned with Polaris, from what I've seen, this is actually scientifically been proven. The Earth axis is due to change again, and the Earth axis is going to be shifting back to Vega. Okay, so it's going to be shifting to Vega. Vega is the main star in Lyra. Lyra is where the human story began. It's where a lot of star races originated from, at least in this galaxy. So what it tells me is that Earth's template is going to be going from the Orion reptilian template and then past the Christian template, the Christianity template, into a new template, and that would be the Lyra Vega template. And there is what I've seen in the records, and a lot of people don't know this, and I saw it and I was blown away, is that there's a plan to rebuild Lyra and Vega. Okay, so that's like going to be the next big project after Earth's ascension. So the next big project in the future, or at least what's in our future timeline, will be the rebuilding of Lyra and Vega. Okay, so and I think they're planning on rebuilding it to its original glory, the way it used to be. So that, if that is, actually the case, that's just like the biggest thing ever. It's just like, wow. We're going to be realigning with our original human template, which is to be magnificent. Okay,
right.
So yeah.
That is so fascinating. Oh man, I'm so glad I asked that because you were mentioning, at least in our reading together, that you had seen that my soul had originated from the Lyra.
Yeah.
With the human template.
Yeah, you're part of that original human template too. So yeah, a lot of us are probably going to get involved with that project. I have a feeling. And there's another one with Andromeda too, which I'm still trying to work out exactly. I think what I keep seeing in the records too is that, and this has also been proven by actual science, is that eventually our Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy are going to be reconverging together, which is amazing. I mean, because originally we came from the Andromeda galaxy birthed the Milky Way. Okay, so the Milky Way is one of the babies of the Andromeda galaxy, but then Milky Way is going to converge back together. So just the cosmic implications of that is mind-boggling. I can't even imagine what kind of energies that we're going to be moving into at that point. But
yeah,
but that's far off in the future yet, so it's not going to happen anytime real soon. So we have to concentrate on Earth right now, so that's what we're here for.
So what would you recommend then for all of us listening right now to do our part in this whole shift that's going on from your perspective?
A lot of people ask me, what do I need to do to ascend? And it's really, really simple. I think if you just try to be the best human you can be, just
Yeah.
try to elevate your frequency, and whatever that means for you, whether it's, maybe meditating more or eating a better diet or being more of service to others. Just try to be the best human you can be. And that in itself will make a huge transformation and just not only just the energy around you, but also in the lives of all the other people that are around you. It's a we are basically all connected, so if you're shifting your reality and you're creating a fifth dimensional reality for yourself, whatever that means to you, it can't help but have an exponential effect on everybody around you. So you don't have to be a superstar or a superhero, with a cape and, saving the planet. You can do it in, whatever way is meaningful for you, even if it means you volunteer at the shelter twice a week, or a soup kitchen, or, whatever it means for you, or just to meditate more and to focus in on, doing your own inner work and, clearing out any past traumas that are holding you back at this point. So that's the best recommendation I can make.
I like that. I appreciate that because
Yeah.
it really is. We can get ahead of ourselves and think it's more complicated than it is, but it's just the tiny, every single choice you make. You're just steering your own ship, basically.
Yeah, we're the captains of our own destiny. I say that all the time, but a lot of people put a lot of stock into, these, the energies are intense, or, there's, the planets, it's like 5 planets right now in retrograde.
Yeah.
and, and yeah, that does have an energetic effect on us, but at the same time, we can make a choice to move beyond that. It's like, it's okay, the planets are in retrograde. I'm still going to do my thing. I'm still going to have a good day and be happy, and not let it, try not to let it affect me as much. So yeah, absolutely. Wow, this has been a really great session. Thank you for having me on. Yes.
It has been. I'm really glad that we did this, and it's
Yeah, me
perfect
too.
time.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. And do you have any last questions before we go? Are we good? Or
I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one for sure.
okay,
And
sounds good. Yeah, I'm feeling like it's time to close, but it's been so great to connect with you today, Alexis. I've been thinking about you quite often throughout the last few weeks. So I'm just really happy to see that you're stepping into your gifts and doing what you came here to do. So, and I'm happy to be a part of that. Thank you so much.
oh, that really means a lot. Thank you. You're often in my thoughts. I'm like, have you seen Debbie? You gotta go see Debbie. I want my mom to see you still. She's like, I got close, but I have to still do it. So I'm hoping to still help her bridge
Yeah,
that gap.
I look forward to that. I look forward to
Right?
that.
It's going to be an interesting one. I have a feeling it's going to help her a lot.
Yeah, family readings usually are. They're pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, it's been great seeing you. Take care. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. And if you have any questions for us or have any comments, we'd love to hear about it. Please in the comments below. And I'm really, really grateful for you all joining us on this 3rd episode of the podcast. And please like and share with your Starseed, light worker, ET friends if you enjoyed this conversation. But that's going to be all from us. And we love you very much. And we will be seeing you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.